You also need to have pride in who you are, and pride in what you have accomplished, pride in what you have. Young people need to be shown, that as Leanan people, that we have a lot of things that we can be proud of, and in order to instill that pride, we need to share that with people.
The bright lights of the cities attract many native people, but those bright lights also cast many shadows. This is a documentary about the Friendship Center movement in Canada, a movement that exists in every province and territory since the mid-50s and has been organized as a national association since 1972. Friendship Centers have become known as Islands of Hope.
To me, I find the friendship centers are really essential, especially in the urban Indians. It's so important for them. The reason for that, I believe, is that a lot of times when they move into a city, they don't really have any place to go, and they start forgetting about their identity, and the friendship centers keep that for them.
I became a part of the Friendship Center movement in 1976, and I grew with it. When it was first suggested that I join, I said, well, I don't know anything about being a board member, They said, well, you got some more sense in that. And next thing I know, I was delegate to the Court Workers' Convention, and I thought maybe I ought to know something, but not necessarily so. It was all a learning experience, the whole thing, all the way.
I think with the Friendship Center, at least the young people will have some place to go, like especially on the weekends and that, because they have like nights, movie nights and that for kids, just to keep them off the streets and that. So I think our Friendship Center plays a big role in our community.
The center where I come from, we're in a community of about 17,000, and we got the benefit, of being the focal point for the Native community, and we provide different type of social services, recreation services, education, health, and we recently working on a Head Start project, which is this 3 to 6 year old child development program. Friendship Centers, as I know it, have been known to persevere and continue on services regardless of what their environment is. We still strive to meet the needs of the urban Aboriginal person.
"25 years. I've been involved with the Friendship Center movement for 20 of those years. I've listened to so many people over the years say, with the modern mediums, how small this world is becoming. But throughout the 20 years of being involved in Friendship Centers, I marvel at how big my world has become.
And I was with the group that formed the first Friendship Center in Canada. And I'm so happy to see how it's grown and see all the youth that are involved. It gives me a really good feeling, to think, that we have this now. Because when I started, my home was like a Friendship Center, open door.
I live on my own. It's hard. You get very, very lonely. You're constantly by yourself and you don't know what to do.
It scares me to see that there are a lot of youth who drink and do drugs. Because my mother died of drinking.
I have this problem of just quitting, and it's not worth quitting because you might as well just quit for the rest of your life.
Alcohol has been a major part of my life for ever since I was like 12 years old, and I still struggle with it every day, you know. And I probably still will for however long it takes me to get the willpower to, you know, say that it's not good and stuff like that.
I see a lot of programs that come up and they're really great programs, but the thing is once they stop, there's no follow-up. So these kids have a great experience, they get some hope, but then it's faltered because when they need support again, there's no access to it or they have nobody to turn to. I know I can walk down the street and I can see a kid and no matter what, it's like they just come and hug you. It's like, hi, I'm glad you're here and I can't talk now or I'm going through something now, but I'm here and can we get together? And so just knowing that they can open up and still see some hope is what it's all about. So.
I guess the Friendship Center, you know, gave me some kind of a focus. You know, when you're living on the streets of Vancouver, you don't know much about your culture, you don't know much about your people. Now I'm on the board of directors at the Friendship Center. You know, and the Friendship Center has become a really valuable tool for me. I grew up pretty drug addicted myself, so to me, I've dealt grams to kids all up and down that neighborhood. You know, and it feels really good. Now I'm on the board of directors. I'm working with a safe house and I'm paying back now. You know, I'm paying back to the community. You go to a Friendship Center, they have the counseling sessions, you know, they have counselors for everything in any type of situation. You have the elders you can connect with. I don't even want to think about how many lives I could have taken. I was selling cocaine, you know, pot, acid, whatever I can get my hands on, whatever I could use to make money. And to me, it's like one big payback. You know, every kid I help, you know, it's nothing compared to what damage I probably caused in one day or one time or another. Every person has a turning point in life. You know, they go through so many negatives, and then one day something, it may be somebody telling you a story, it may be something you overhear somebody else say, but makes you want to go from one road to the next. You know, and to me it was my son. You know, my son made me realize that do I want him to grow up to see a person who doesn't work and has a bunch of people coming in to sell drugs to, and you know, and I promised myself I'd never want my son to see that. You know, I want him to be proud. I want him to be proud of me.
How are you supposed to be proud, to be young, when people just, you know, put you down for it and harass you for it? So those would be probably like the two biggest things that I would want to change is, you know, is just that there would be no discrimination, that we wouldn't have to be called youth. We would just be called Aboriginal people like everyone else. And that no one would look down at us. They would look more at our abilities and our skills and our personalities than our age. I hope one day that's what I can hope for my kids and my grandkids, is that one day they won't have to fight as hard as we're having to fight right now to get the rights that we deserve.
Then, of course, the Friendship Center started. That was another interesting era. We had no funds to operate with. All of it was done by volunteer work. And I believe once we had centers of maybe, I can count 35 friendship centers across the country, and they started talking about forming a national organization. As we were developing, we started to increase our memberships. Centers were being developed. A friendship center had to operate for 2 years without any federal support or provincial support, you might say. As the organization grew, so did our people, and you can see the changes in the people. We were attracting youth. The friendship centers were instrumental into the development of the Aboriginal political organization.
I've seen the troubled times that we've had, the cuts that we've had in the past. To me, the people that are within the organizations are doing a lot of work to be successful. See the determination of the people in the Friendship Center movement. To me, it's an organization that I believe in.
Well, I've been in the Friendship Center movement from the very beginning, when they started in Winnipeg. And then we got our Friendship Center in Selkirk, and I worked there just as a volunteer with Amy Clements for many years. Amy was my role model. When I got married, 52 years ago, I moved to Selkirk, and right away I got in with Amy, and I was with the group that formed the first Friendship Center in Canada. Because that's where my heart was, with the people, trying to make things better.
Spalimchin is Kalula. Is Popos is Kalula. Is Kukulos is Kalula. Tantina is Kalula. Is Palimchin is Kalula. Is Popos is Kalula.
I see the NAFC being poised to take the next step in terms of development for urban Aboriginal people. We're absolutely positioned and being recognized for contributions and community development that's taken place over the past 40 years, not just the past 25. The history of the Friendship Center movement found its origins in the early 50s. And it was the culmination of Friendship Centers coming together in the 1971-72 to form the National Association of Friendship Centers. Our biggest achievement at this point in time has been the transfer of the Aboriginal Friendship Centre program. It brings with it new responsibilities, new opportunities, and this is absolutely a time in our history where we're now going to be in real control. There is definitely other areas that we could look at from a practical point of view in improving the quality of urban Aboriginal people and their lives. Control in programs and services in other areas such as health, justice systems, housing, employment and training are all areas where administrative transfers can be exercised that puts real control in terms of our communities and friendship centers.
I think it's been well demonstrated through the Friendship Centre movement and the 113 Friendship Centres that exist from across this country, from east to west and north to south, that there's been an incredible capacity that exists. Unfortunately, it seems to be a bit of Canada's best kept secret in terms of the opportunity that exists to deal with some of the social and economic issues that face Aboriginal people. The Friendship Centres and for the Friendship Centre movement is a movement as opposed to an institutional process. It relies very heavily on commitment of people on a voluntary basis and commitment of people in an employed capacity, modestly, and to design and deliver programs that are determined by the community. In urban areas in particular, a population which has a lot of women and single parents. Unless as a society we invest in providing and ensuring that they have the options and can maintain a sense of hope about achieving a quality of life, then I don't know that, I believe that we will be facing greater social pressures on an increasing basis.
25 ans de mouvement est significatif dans le sens que c'est réellement une évolution qui s'est faite doucement mais sûrement. Et à travers ces 25 années, le regroupement qui est un peu plus jeune, là, qui a environ 22-23 ans, a également su évoluer au même rythme que l'Association nationale. Et évidemment, les discussions deviennent beaucoup plus complexes, mais il semble qu'au Québec, on commence à développer des positions qui nous permettent de réellement avoir cette crédibilité-là qu'on a besoin et cette reconnaissance-là qu'on a de la part des Premières Nations qui nous entourent au Québec.
And the governments today are in the process of trying to marginalize what we Friendship Centres do. Friendship Centres have earned that right in our community to bring these needs to the governments and to the overall community. I celebrate the success of what we've achieved, and I look forward to the future. I believe that the strength of the past and our elders and our senators will certainly make our young leaders of tomorrow continue on with what the Friendship Centre movement means.
Vision that we have across the country, and hopefully the next 25 years will be good, and that we have our own self-government, and also we are self-reliant.
One of the challenges facing the Friendship Centres is the recognition that we're more than service providers. I think issues around our own self-confidence as a people affect us.
and that we translate into the organizations that we create, that we're tremendous at providing services, tremendous at looking after people's needs. And we could be equally as important in terms of changing social policy, of participating in the economic equity activities that need to occur if friendship centers would recognize that their political value, that they're important elements in creating change, that that change will come from friendship centers creating relationships and alliances with First Nations formally, with the Métis associations, the Inuit, and that in individual communities, friendship centers need to be not so interested in sort of just always being there as the helper, but taking responsibility as leaders.
Spalimchin iskalola is popo